Welcome to my first vegetable garden. Today I'm going to show you how to plant chives, parsley, cilantro, and basil in these peat pellet trays. And these are actually going to be grown indoors in your kitchen. So these are indoor kitchen herbs. And the reason that I'm picking basil, cilantro, and parsley and chives is because they grow really well indoors, they grow quickly, and they just like water and nutrients. You don't have to worry so much about a drier soil. Some herbs like oregano and thyme don't like wet soil. These herbs love wet soil. They like the moisture, they like the nutrients. So that makes them great for growing indoors, and I'll show you how to plant them, and I'll talk about why we're going to do it this way. We're going to use the peat pellets. They create a perfect little pack of starting mix where the roots can grow, take hold, yet they're going to absorb a lot of water. This can sit in water, and this will basically go on your windowsill when it's ready, and you're going to keep it filled with water and nutrients, and you'll just get a lot of leaves from the basil, cilantro, parsley, chives, and all that. And you can just grow it there as long as you want. You can also transplant them into your garden if you want to, but this is something you can do in the winter before they're ready to go out in the garden. When you buy your peat pellets, they're going to come pressed down and they're very hard. You have to add water. I have a couple videos on it, but all you do is add warm water, fill the tray about halfway, a little more than halfway. If you need more water, you add more water. If you need less water, once they're expanded, just dump out the excess in the beginning. But these will probably expand before I'm done shooting this video. So these were done about a half an hour ago. You want to wait at least 30 minutes, even though they're going to expand quickly. Wait at least 30 minutes so that the whole thing expands. And you can see there's cloth all the way around. It contains the peat moss that's actually in there. Now, let me show you. And the reason that we're going to go with these is because a couple of things. Basil, like I said, and these four herbs really like moist water. And you can see the roots already coming out. So we're going to use that. When this is sitting in a tray, the plants are going to grow mostly inside the peat pellet until they're well established to about this size, and then they're going to send out roots. These are the roots that'll just be all over the place that will be putting water into here, and these are just going to sit in water, and that will provide the nutrients for the leaves, and you're going to have great kitchen windowsill herbs. So, because we're doing it this way, the recommendation is that this one flipped over. You want to make sure you have the bottom. The bottom is completely covered. That's how you know. You want to make sure you keep this peat pellet intact. The instructions say to peel this back, and that's to give you more working area for planting your seeds. And that's more for, I think, if your seeds are going to go into the garden. But what we want to do is make sure we keep this intact so that the starting mix, the peat moss in there, doesn't fall all over the place while these plants are growing. And all we're going to do is use a pencil to push in a little more than the length of the eraser, and that's going to be our planting hole for the four herbs. You might have to give it a little bit of a twist. We're going to plant more than one seed in there, so don't worry about things being perfect. You just want to get a nice planting base or planting hole for the seeds that are to go in. So once that's done, you're going to plant your seeds, and you're going to put more than one seed per hole. You don't want to wait around for a seed that's not going to germinate. We can always thin these. I don't think you'll have to, because we're going to really keep a solution of liquid fertilizer in here at half strength, and we'll talk about that later. This is going to be a three-part video. This is the planting part, then we'll look at the mid-growth part, and then how to maintain it on your windowsill. So here's the basil seeds, and you're going to put 2 or 3 in each hole. We have 4 plants, so we have 2, so we're going to have at least 2 of each herb, and just plant more of the ones you like. I'm going to do 3 basil, or you could just do groups of 3. Alright, so the basil seeds are in there. There's about 2, 3, 4 seeds in each one. Cilantro is a bigger seed, and they look like this, and you're just going to put 2 in each hole, and I'm going to do 4 cilantro. And don't worry, you're not going to label it because these herbs are easy to identify once they grow. Parsley. Parsley is probably the slowest grow. Well, chives are kind of slow growing, but parsley can get big with time, but it's somewhat of a slow grower, so I'm going to do 3 parsley too. And 2 or 3 seeds in each of those. And let's see. Oh, I already know. I made a mistake. I put some parsley into one of the cilantro holes, but that's the way it is. So you do want to keep track of what you're doing. I just lost track while I'm trying to talk and do this. And then I'm going to do 4 or 5 chive seeds in each hole. Maybe a little bit more. And the reason with that is the parsley, the cilantro, and the basil are all grown for their leaves, and just one plant will grow big leaves. The chives will grow just single stalks, and one plant will come up, it just be a single chive, just one strand like this. And it will take a long time to make a bunch. So if you put in 4, 5, 6, 7 seeds, you're going to get a lot of strands, and it'll thicken up, and you'll be able to use it much more quickly. So once these are planted, and again, this is what the basil looks like. This was planted on the 11th of January. Today's February 1st. So this is about the growth you're going to get in 3 weeks. The roots are going to come out, and again, that's why we're doing it this way. We're going to have a nice peat pellet containing the herbs, and then the roots will come through the cloth, and they're just going to mix through this whole container, and we're going to keep it filled with water with half strength, probably liquid fertilizer. Now, once the seeds are in the hole, you want to use a sterile starting mix and fill the hole up. Just press it down. Does not have to be perfect. You just want to make sure you fill the hole. You can cover up more of the cloth if you want. Fill the hole, press the seeds in, make sure the starting mix, the peat pellet, and the seed all have good contact, and that will help with germination. Now, don't use soil or potting mix in your house plants for this if you have it laying around, or don't use soil from outdoors. That will really increase the chance of fungus and molds getting into your seedlings here. You want a sterile mix. Now, I happen to have a lot in the house, as I've said before, because I shoot a lot of videos and start a lot of seeds. So this is a sterile starting mix. If you don't have that and you don't want to go spend the money to buy a big bag just for this purpose, go ahead and just take one of these, cut it open, dump it out into there. This is a sterile starting medium. It's peat moss, and then use this one that you sacrifice to fill the holes. It's really, really important that you use a sterile starting mix. Now, once this is done, you can go ahead and use a humidity dome if you want to. They do work. I don't recommend them typically because I feel like they create a very humid environment, and if you have fungus spores or you have mold spores in here, these domes will promote their growth. If it's a nice sterile starting mix, nothing's in there, then you don't need to worry about it. In any case, if you do use the humidity dome, you'll have to water a little bit less, but I always recommend at least every 2 days go down and check on them, or make sure you eyeball them, and they should be moist just like this. But once a day, if you're using a humidity dome, take it off, let it breathe for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, just let the wind and air and all that kind of stuff blow through it. And once the seeds germinate, take this off, because you're really using this to help with germination. If you keep the humidity around seedlings that are coming up, that really increases your risk of a disease called damping off disease, and you don't want to do that. So today's February 1st. In about 2 weeks, these should be up and growing, and I'll do the second part of the video. But again, this is going to be your windowsill garden herbs, and we're doing chives, parsley, cilantro, and basil. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please check out my blog at www.therustedgarden.blogspot.com and also check out my YouTube videos. Thanks.